Hello, boys and girls. Let's look at Chapter 2 from the Adventures of Stuart Little. Stuart sets sail. One sunny day, Stuart Little and his family drove to a lake in the country. Can you spot Stuart in the picture? He's on somebody's shoulder. Mrs. Little carried the picnic basket. Mr. Little carried the picnic basket. Mrs. Little carried the blanket. George carried his boat, the Wasp. Stuart carried dessert. Can you see what Stuart is holding for dessert? I like his boat. What a big lake, said Stuart. I can't wait to sail across it. That sounds like fun, Stuart, said Mrs. Little, but come back before the sun hits the top of those trees. We want to be home before it gets dark. Look, boys and girls, his ship is in the water and he's getting ready to embark on an adventure. Let's turn the page to see what happens. Stuart set sail. The wind blew softly. Suddenly, Stuart heard splish, splash, splish, splash. What was making that sound? It's a whale, Stuart yelled. No, I'm just a fish with a whale of a problem. I have a hook stuck in my lip, said the fish. Look. That poor fish. Do you think Stuart will help him? I can help you, said Stuart. He pulled the hook out. Thank you, cried the fish. You're welcome, said Stuart. The fish swam away. Stuart looked up. The sun had moved closer to the trees. I still have time to cross the lake, said Stuart. So look, the hook is out of the fish's mouth, and Stuart is continuing to sail across the lake. The wind picked up. Woo-wee, shouted Stuart. I will be at the other side of the lake soon. Bump! The wasp ran into a rock. Where did that rock come from? Asked Stuart. Now take a look, boys and girls. See? Stuart thinks it's a rock. Could it be something other than a rock? And if so, what do you think it could be? Let's turn the page to find out. He stepped onto the rock to check for leaks in the wasp. Suddenly, the rock began to move. Whoa, shouted Stuart. Do I look like a rock to you? It said. You look like a turtle now, said Stuart. And you look like lunch to me, snapped the turtle. Boys and girls, if you guessed that rock was a turtle, you guessed correctly. Look at that, a snapping turtle. Stuart better get away. Stuart jumped back into the boat. Phew, said Stuart. That was close. Stuart looked up. The sun was closer to the top of the trees. I still have time to cross the lake, said Stuart. He sailed on. Suddenly, a motorboat sped by. Big waves tossed the wasp. Then a large bird flew over the boat. His wings whipped the sails. Oh, look at that. What do you think is happening to Stuart's boat? I think it's getting tossed and turned in the waves out on the lake. Having a good time, sailor? Called the bird. I prefer calmer winds if you don't mind, Stuart shouted. Ha ha! The bird laughed and flew away. But look, Stuart's holding on tight and he's going to be fine. He's a brave little mouse. Oh, that was some storm, said Stuart. He looked up. The sun was very close to the top of the trees. The other side of the lake was still far away. Well, said Stuart, it is time to go back. Stuart turned the wasp around and sailed back to shore. Look, Stuart's holding a map and he's enjoying the beautiful, beautiful day out on the lake, but he remembered that his mom told him he had to get back at a certain time. He realized it was getting a little later. "Did you sail to the other side, Stuart?" asked George. "No," said Stuart. "But did you see all my big adventures? Did you see the fish, the rock, and the storm?" Do you think his brother saw all those things? I'm not sure. Let's read. "We didn't see anything, son," Mr. Little said. "It looked like smooth sailing from here." "Oh," Stuart said, "I guess they were only little adventures." "Adventures come in all sizes, Stuart," said Mrs. Little. "They sure do, boys and girls. Some day is full of adventure. Other days we just have many small adventures throughout the day." Stuart smiled. After a day of adventure comes dessert. Do you remember what he was holding? Is anybody going to eat strawberries this evening for dessert? Or maybe after lunch? And that's the end of chapter 2, Stuart Sets Sail. I enjoyed reading to you, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed listening. And one day I look forward to hearing about an adventure that you go on. Goodbye.